Shalom everyone, it's Taylor from the Kifar with another verbs lesson, and this week we're actually going to do a review of the three groups that we've done so far. And so I'm going to give you a bunch of verbs that you may or may not know. We haven't learned them, but the reason why I'm going to do it that way is because I really want to make sure that you've gotten the sound patterns, because that's what's important. It's less important to know the meaning of the verbs. You can look that up on your own easily. It's more important that you recognize the type of verb that it is, so you recognize what that sound pattern is so that you can conjugate it and use it in the present tense. So we'll start with a review of the exercise verbs that I gave you in the last lesson, and then we'll go on to this next review. So we learned the verb lir'ot, which means to see. How to find the root. This strategy is a little different than what we've done in the first two groups, and also how to conjugate it. So your first exercise verb was lishtot. Always the first step is to get rid of that lamed, and then the vav tav converts into a hey. So that gives us a root of shata. Our masculine singular sound pattern is o'et, so that gives us shotet. Our feminine singular sound pattern is o'ah, so that gives us shota. Our masculine plural sound pattern is o'im, and we know that the last letter, that hey, drops out of the root, so we get shotim. And our feminine plural sound pattern is o'ot, and again, the hey is going to drop out, and that gives us shotot. So we have shotet, shota, shotim, shotot. Our second verb was lirtzot, which means to want. Get rid of the lamed, vav tav becomes a hey, that gives us ratza. Masculine singular is rotze. Feminine singular is rotza. Masculine plural, rotzim, and feminine plural, rotzot. And here we have the three verbs side by side. So we see again, this group of verbs, what we call the vav tav, are Paal verbs where the infinitive ends in a vav and a tav. So we have lir'ot, lishtot, and lirtzot. And of course, I'm going from right to left. Our root is ra'ah, shata, ratza. Masculine singular, our sound pattern is o'eh, which we hear in ro'eh, shoteh, and rotzeh. Our feminine singular sound pattern is o'ah, and we hear that in ro'ah, shota, rotza. Our masculine plural sound pattern is o'im, and you hear that in ro'im, shotim, rotzim. And feminine plural sound pattern, o'ot, like ro'ot, shotot, and rotzot. And remember that in the plural, both the masculine and the feminine, that hey in our root is going to drop out. So we just have the first two letters. The resh aleph for lir'ot, the shin tav for shotim, and the resh tzadi for rotzim or lirtzot. All right, and so here we have the three Paal groups that we've done so far, side by side. So we have the regular group, and that sound pattern is o'eh, o'e'et, o'im, o'ot. We have the aha group, and those are verbs where the middle letter of the shoresh is either an aleph, hey, chet, or ayin. And our sound pattern there is o'eh, o'e'et, o'a'im, and o'a'ot. So remember, for the aha verbs, we're adding an ah sound to our plural, both masculine and feminine. And group three is the vav tav group. That's where the vav tav is the last letters of the infinitive, and our sound pattern is o'eh, o'ah, o'im, o'ot. All right, so we're going to get into our review exercises. We have three different sets of exercises that we're going to do. And so let's get right into it. So the first exercise, I'm going to give you a verb in its infinitive, so in the to form of the verb, and I want you to identify the group and identify the root. So you're going to have 10 seconds to do it. Don't worry about the time. If you're not getting it done in the 10 seconds, just pause the video, take as much time as you need, and then you can just press play whenever you're ready. All right, so this little circle here, that's going to represent your time, and it's going to disappear. And once it disappears, your 10 seconds are up. Again, if you need more time, just pause the video and take your time. So your first verb is lilmod. And to find the shoresh, we drop the lamed, we drop the middle vav, and that gives us a lamad shoresh. And this is a regular group one verb. Lomed, lomedet, lomdim, lomdot. All right, your second verb is liknot. And here we get rid of the lamed. We see that the last two letters are a vav tav, so that's going to change to a hey, and that gives us a root of kana, and we know that this is a vav tav verb. All right, number three, and there are 7 of these. Your third verb is lignov. In lignov, we get rid of the lamed, get rid of the vav. That gives us ganav as our root, and this is just a regular verb. Gonev, gonevet, gonvim, gonvot. Our next verb is lishpot. Get rid of the lamed, get rid of the vav. That gives us shafat as our root, and this is another regular verb. Shofet, shofetet, shoftim, shoftot. Number 5 is limhol. So we get rid of the lamed, get rid of the vav. That gives us mahal as our root, and we see that that middle letter is one of our aha letters. So this happens to be a hey. The other letters are aleph, chet, and ayin. So this is an aha verb: mohel, mohelet, mohalim, mohalot. Number 6, almost done. We just have one more after this. Livot. So we get rid of the lamed, get rid of the vav. That gives us ba'at as our root. Don't be confused. Remember, vav tav, not vav t sound. So even though this is livot, it's not a vav tav verb. So we're gonna find the shorsh the same exact way that we find the regular and the group 2 verbs. So this is another group 2 aha verb because the middle letter is an ayin. So bo'et, bo'etet, bo'atim, and bo'atot. And our last verb is livnot. Get rid of the lamed, and we see the last 2 letters are vav tav, so that becomes a hey. So our root is bana. This is a vav tav verb. So bonet, bona, bonim, and bonot. And remember that when you have one of the letters that do not have a dagesh, such as vet, chaf, and fe, as the first letter of your infinitive, after you get rid of that lamed, when it's the first letter of your root, you're going to switch it to the dagesh version of the letter. So for instance, here our root is bana. We see that it's livnot, but that veit is going to become a beit because we don't have words in Hebrew that start with veit. Okay, so our root is the veit, the nun, and the hey, but when we conjugate it, it becomes bonet, bona, bonim, bonot. Same thing with the last verb, number 6 that we did, livot, to kick. It became boet, boetet, boatim, and boatot. All right, so we're done with that exercise. Hopefully you were able to do that without that much trouble. If there is any group that you're still having trouble with, go back and rewatch that video or watch whatever portions of the videos you need to watch. If you have questions, always you can email me or just write them in the comments below and I will do my best to help you. So the second exercise, I'm going to give you a conjugated form of the verb, and then I want you to identify whether it's masculine singular, feminine singular, masculine plural, or feminine plural. And again, these are going to be verbs that are not familiar to you, but you'll be able to do it because you know what the various sound patterns are. All right, and so you're going to have a little bit less time to do this one. I'm going to give you 7 seconds for each one. Of course, again, if you need more time, pause the video, take as much time as you need, and then just come back to it whenever you're ready. All right, so your first verb is lomedet. And oeet is our feminine singular sound pattern, okay? Lomedet. Number 2 is bonim. So bonim, know that when it comes to verbs, anytime you have an im ending, it is absolutely 100% of the time, without exception, masculine plural, okay? So there are exceptions when it comes to nouns, but when it comes to verbs, im ending is always masculine plural. So bonim is a masculine plural conjugated form of the verb. Number 3, and I don't know if I mentioned it, there are 7 of these also. Your third verb is boatot. Okay, and so just like im is 100% of the time, without exception, masculine plural verb, ot, 100% of the time, without exception, is feminine plural verb. Okay, so bo'atot is in the feminine plural form. Number 4 is gonev. And OA is our masculine singular sound pattern, okay, for both our regular verbs and our aha verbs. So gonev is masculine singular. Number 5, gonvot. So gonvot is feminine plural. We have that ot ending, which just gives it away. Number 6, kona. And kona is feminine singular. This is our vav tav sound pattern, O-A. And our last one is mohelet. And mohelet is feminine singular, O-E-Et. That's our sound pattern for our regular verbs and our aha verbs. Right, so we have one last exercise. I'm going to give you 3 verbs in their infinitive. They're not verbs that we have done in the lessons, but they fall within those groups. And I want you to conjugate those verbs. So I'm not going to give you a time limit for this one. I'll just tell you after I say each verb to pause the video. Pause the video, conjugate it, and then you can press play because I'm just going to go right into explaining the verb and the conjugations. All right, so I'll tell you when to pause and you can do that. So your first verb is limhol. So pause the video and conjugate it and press play when you're ready. So we get rid of the lamed and we get rid of the vav. That gives us a root of mahal. We see that the middle letter is one of those aha letters. So that means our plural sound patterns are going to have o, a, im, and o, a, ot. So masculine singular is mohel. Feminine singular, mohelet. Masculine plural, mohalim. And feminine plural, mohalot. All right, we're going to go on to number 2. Second verb is lishpot, and you can go ahead and pause, conjugate it, and then press play when you're ready to check your work. Get rid of the lamed, get rid of the vav. That gives us shin, fe, and tet. So that's shafat as our root. So we have shofet, masculine singular, shofetet, feminine singular, shoftim, it's regular, so we have our o'im sound pattern, and shoftot for our feminine plural, okay? Also, it tends to throw a lot of people off when the last letter of the root is a tet or it has the T sound. That's fine. You're still gonna keep your o-e-et sound pattern. So in this case, it's shofetet. You just have 2 T sounds instead of the usual one. So don't let that throw you off. Confuses people for some reason. So the last verb that we're going to conjugate is livnot. So pause now, conjugate it, and then press play when you're ready to check your work. So we get rid of the lamed, and we see that the last 2 letters are vav tav, so we're going to convert that into a hey. And the veit is going to become a beit now that it's the first letter of a word. So we have boneh, masculine singular, bona, feminine singular, bonim, masculine plural, and again that hey drops out, and bonot, feminine plural, and again the hey drops out. So I am going to give you a few exercises, and next week when we do our next lesson, we're going to move on to another group of Paal. So we're going to move on to group 4. So I want you to use your knowledge of these verb groups to translate the following sentences. Okay, so with each sentence, we have he learns, she judges, we masculine build, they feminine steal, and I buy. And in parentheses next to each sentence, you have the verb in its infinitive. So lilmod, number 1, is to learn. Lishpot, number 2, is to judge. Livnot, number 3, is to build. Lignov, number 4, is to steal. And liknot, number 5, is to buy. And so all of these verbs fit into one of the 3 groups that we've done so far. So in order to translate these sentences, you're going to need to take the verb, find its root, conjugate it according to the pattern, and then pick whether you need the masculine singular, masculine plural, or feminine plural. All right, and then when we start our next lesson in the next video, we'll go over these exercises before moving on to the new Paal group that we're going to learn. So hopefully the review was helpful for you, either helpful in showing you that you understand the groups completely and you're ready to move on, or in showing you what you're still not getting, and hopefully you can identify what it is that's missing for you, and then you can either rewatch the videos or ask me, and I'll try to help you as best as I can. So toda latzvia, thank you for watching. You can stay connected. You can email me anytime. I'm all over social media, so you can find me there, and always you can leave a comment below. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Shalom.